All right. You doing all right?
How you doing? I'm good.
Good, good. So you had a chance to look over everything. First, I'm gonna ask, how did you feel about the lesson?
Uh, it's what I anticipated. I had to ease myself into it and ease the students into it. So when things change, you have to go with the flow. Experiment with it. So uh, it's what I anticipated would happen.
Okay, good. Um, how did you feel about the new approach?
I like it because it simply made me aware. It's like when you become aware, just like because you get into the routine, your own routine of instructing. So like I've been doing teaching for this long,
Mhm.
but it's always good to challenge yourself and like do different things. So I loved it because it just made me aware of, it made me conscious
Right,
what was happening in the classroom, just trying to direct my attention other places that I usually don't. So,
right. That's good. That's always a good thing to be able to like, even though you said you're a veteran doing it, but the fact that you're able to add one more small detail that could help you and help reach other students is always a good thing.
absolutely.
Um, so what did you think about the data overall?
I took a long look at this. I mean, I liked it.
Mm.
It was hard for me to read at first. I was because I mean, there's a lot of numbers, and
Okay.
so but I saw at the end, I noticed like once I looked over it a little more, I thought, it was easier to read. And then um, you had indicated with the asterisk, the students. Um, I, I think we could work with this going forward, definitely. Like,
Okay.
I
Good.
like
Right.
I mean, if you were there, probably if we were like in the classroom and you were explaining to me, it would have been probably easier.
Definitely. Right.
You, so.
Right. Definitely. Um. So what this time around? What did you do differently to engage the auditory learners?
Uh, First, I was just explicit with my instruction, which I never do that. Like where usually, generally in my class, I omit the key ideas just because I think like they should discover the learning. They
Right.
discover the ideas on their own. So this time I was very explicit and repetitive when I was explicit, which I usually don't do because I usually the repetition with kinesthetic learners comes in practice, right? They're just
Exactly.
practice, practice, practice. But this time I use my voice in repetition, which I generally don't do.
Right. That's
So
awesome. Right.
it goes back to that other question, like, just because I was aware, I was able to do it.
Right. Exactly. That awareness. And I think a lot of times the educators, myself included, we want to give as minimal instruction to give them that freedom and kind of see what they do with what you told them. But more often than not, especially with the auditory learners, we have to be explicit. And thank you for actually implementing that. And I'm glad you're able to see the benefit of doing that in your practice.
Absolutely. You're right. I try to be like I wrote down here. I try to take as much of myself out of my classroom as I can. I'm a guide. I don't feel like a teacher. I think I
Right.
said that before. I feel like a referee.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. Um, how did the students respond to the changing in instruction?
Well, like everything in my class, I try to like this goes back to what we were just talking about. I try to take myself out of the mix.
Mhm.
So it was a little different for the students because they saw more of me and heard more of me.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
uh, I I try to make it as much about them as possible as I usually do. So I think they took it well. And once I think you'll move into this with the next question. I think this will be a challenge for me, being able to stand in front of the class a little bit longer and being explicit about what we're doing. So that'll be a challenge for me. I'm just gonna have to hone this skill and like find a mix, find a balance,
Right.
and that'll be that'll be a huge step for me to going forward.
Right. All
If
right.
I,
So I'm sorry.
if I can do that, if I can make it work.
No. 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 When you do it. When. No. All right. So kind of. I know it's a little off script, but going into that, what did you do to prepare yourself to be able to give the instruction differently?
You know what's coming from me, mindset. I'm an athlete. I grew up my whole life playing sports since 4 years old, and I played soccer in university. So before each match, and I do this for the classroom, before each match, I would envision what would happen.
Right.
And so I do this before I go into each lesson, each class, each day, and then I reflect upon that. Like, really, I reflect on my practice every single day. You could ask my girlfriend. I will come out of the classroom one day and I'll say, I was too hard on him today. I did this today. I did this today. I did this today. Every single day is very reflect. Like, I'm trying to calibrate my consciousness in order to better serve them every single day.
Right. Wow. That's good. Definitely being reflective, and like you said, even that often is always a good practice. And a lot of times we're like, I got this. I got this. It's them. If they don't get this, it's them. I got this. But just being able to be transparent with your own self is, I think, one of the biggest
Well,
steps.
that's the thing about the classroom is, for me, it's a learning. It's
right.
all about learning. What I can learn from them, and this will definitely be one of those things where I can learn from them, as I've learned everything else from them as well.
Right. You're definitely able to learn a lot about yourself.
Yes.
Pretty often as well. So I know you kind of touched on it, but are there any other challenges you foresee when it comes to utilizing this going forward?
Well, with the challenge, I said, like, I'll see that implementing will be a challenge in itself.
Right.
And trying to make the right mix and all of that, and to balance my approach as a whole. Because I try to make my instruction feel effortless and natural. But I think also the challenge will be to make this fun. Like, that, like, for example, I thought while I was reading this and going over the data, I was thinking I could have them close their eyes, give them complete ears, have some games and things like that, some fun things to do. I think they would like that. Some whisper games or some Chinese whispers or something. So I think there's a definite, like, place for this in my skill set, like, to make it my own. That's what I mean. But it will be a challenge for sure.
I definitely like that you take ownership, and the fact that you consider the students, and one of the first things you said is a way to make it fun, something, because I can tell that you're trying to find a way to implement it that much more, because I know that's what you're all about.
Implementation.
Right. Definitely. Is there anything else you think you could do to cater to the auditory learners in your classroom in addition to what you're already doing?
Like I said, having it being fun, games, and things like that. But I also thought, while I was reading this as well, and I honestly really think about these things, So I was thinking, I could use more rhythm and rhyme in my instruction, just to cater to ears, because we love music.
Right.
And just because I use a lot of song and chant already, but I was thinking a lot more of a rhythm to my cadence in my speaking and rhyming in my speaking. If I can, like, have some lessons like that every now and then, like, I think that would help as well.
Okay.
And having, like, those auditory learners too, I wrote this down as well, like having the auditory learners repeat what I said, like, to the class, like they could be the teacher, like, oh, hey, did you hear what I said? You can teach, instruct now. Like,
right.
I wrote down auditory helpers.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. Wow. Very good. I like that you definitely tried not excluding those students, in fact, trying to almost celebrate them.
Yes.
Feel that much more included, even more so than before. And also being able to implement rhythm and song, which is something we know from an early age helps with memory, cognizance, awareness. Also earlier you spoke about being able to implement it daily going forward, making a conscious effort to reach that population and make it happen on a more daily basis. And the reflective part every day, thinking about what you did, what could work differently. Also, a suggestion I make: maybe take anecdotal notes. I know you say you reflect a lot, but maybe just before you go into your reflective part about just what happened that day, and maybe see as time goes on, we can look at it together and figure out what kind of changes were brought about by the change in your instruction.
So I have a question.
Yes.
And this is a real question. these note taking, do you actually do this for yourself? I mean, I need an example. Do you make a rubric, or do you just like write down notes, or like how do you see the change in your notes?
Um, as far as sometimes it depends on what we're looking for. If it's something just like that, something kind of subjective where it's just, we know it maybe be like those 5 students, how they move throughout the day. If it was a bigger class issue, then maybe notes about the class, or we could just track, the data from that day, how they did on the warm up. Maybe do a day where we don't do the explicit instruction, see if there is a difference brought on that. Maybe like a day or so out of the week. Really, it's just a way to track it because I know you have a great memory, but you're not gonna remember everything. I don't know how good your girlfriend's memory is.
I can't remember anything, honestly.
Right.
That's why I try to create habits. Everything to me is just a habit because I can't remember. I don't remember yesterday, honestly. I don't remember.
Right. And so just get in the habit, because you'll be surprised when you look back 2 days ago and be like, oh, that happened. They said this, they picked up on this. And so just having that being able to track that throughout the week is important.
That's a good idea. I mean,
It doesn't have to be like 10 pages each day, just a page or so, a few paragraphs, just whatever big things that you noticed.
I might try that. I've never taken notes.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time. Like, have I?
Right.
I mean, when I was in the U.S., they made me document a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just, I felt like, it's the feeling. It's definitely SOP, like standard operating procedure. It's just like,
Right.
and so I don't like doing things like that. So
Right.
I did it because I had to.
Right.
But I would like to do it how you do it, like just because you want to reflect upon it and see where it takes you.
Right. And trust me, I know it's tedious, and like I'm sure you didn't even like to write notes in college when the professor would like tell you to. But
That's different for me. I'm a learner. Like, I love taking notes. I love those classes where the professor makes you only take notes.
right. Oh man.
Where he has no book, you just have to listen to him. Those are usually history classes, but I like history.
Right. And like you said, it's a mindset, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you being a strong writer would only be able to enhance your practice going forward. You being able to reflect on it only in a way only you can is important.
Yeah.
So definitely next time we meet, we'll look at your anecdotal notes, and like I said, don't stress yourself out about that. It could be half a page, few sentences, whatever, and you can tell me what big trends you notice um, throughout the next 2 weeks. We can look at the data again, and one day I want you to choose a day, and I want you to try to go back to how you were before, and we can see if there's a difference. Maybe we could just see, how that the outcome there is. Also, I want you to maybe on a Friday or something have the students write down a sentence or two about how they feel the class is going. Maybe I don't want you to ask them if they notice a difference, but ask them without asking them, if you know what I mean. I think you can word that pretty well. I just kind of want to get a feel of how they see everything. If they like the changes being made.
Do you create surveys for your students?
Yeah, there's some you can do. I don't know if your kids, what grade level we're working with again?
K through 2. I mean,
So they don't have cell phones, right?
no.
Okay. um, but yeah, because some of mine, like, there's an app where you can create a quick survey, and they can. But I also have my clickers that I use from All in Learning, and so sometimes I'll do a survey and let them choose.
Clickers?
Yeah, so they're
Yeah,
like, but yeah, I use those for my DOLs a lot. My documentation of learning. It's like a little quiz at the end of the day, but I also use it for surveys as well, class surveys.
I mean, I've done some surveys before, but I think I told you the last one about reading and math. about because kids love storytelling. Even though they were better at math, they always chose that they like reading more.
Mm-hmm.
I like that information. Because if you can bring storytelling into math, then they maybe like math more.
Exactly.
So,
make that connection.
Yes. And so it's a great idea. Surveys. I should take more surveys. I mean, honestly. Because a lot of people, not me, I mean, I'm sure not you.
No.
Because I've seen it where they lower their expectations because of the student's age.
Exactly.
Yeah, a 5-year-old, I'm like, you're an adult.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's time for us to go.
Exactly. And it's easy to do that, especially like, okay, they're not getting this, so I'm just gonna like put it on their level. But if you stay at a certain level, they'll meet you. You just have to be able to stay, where you want them to get to, which is the hardest part.
Yes.
But definitely. All right, so that's all I have. Do you have anything for me? Any questions or anything about?
I do have, you sent me a question, and it said, what could the students do differently going forward?
Oh, yes. My final question.
I thought about that, but I didn't understand the question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm the guy in the classroom.
Right.
But could you elaborate or give me an example?
That's kind of why I left that one out. But just maybe the way I meant it was in there, so you did the lesson, trying the explicit instruction, reaching the auditory learners. Was there anything that maybe they didn't get something, or maybe they didn't respond in a way that you wanted them to, or you thought they should?
That's a hard question.
I know we have expectations for things, and we envision the way a lesson's going to go, but of course we both know it doesn't always go that way.
Yeah, but when like I said, my mindset, I'm trying to implement something new.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the expectation.
Right.
It's like you're saying we need to one day take it all away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a great idea because it shows you the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what to expect when I'm trying to implement this. I mean, it would be very difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always do experiment. Like, I'm very experimental in my class.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's interesting because that may be better going at it with open expectations.
Yeah.
I would say no expectation.
No, there's definitely expectations, but
Right.
open. I like that. Yeah, if I don't have anything else, I mean, thank you for all your help. I mean, it's incredible questions. I feel like the more we get into this, the difference between light and heavy coaching is what questions you ask.
Right.
And it's hard for me, but you're doing a great job.
Appreciate it. Fireworks going off outside.
You want to?
All right, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Oh, and thank you for your willingness to implement everything. I really appreciate your openness to feedback, and the fact that you respond to the feedback, and not just and it's professional. It's to help, and we're on the same team. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I mean, we make each other better. I mean, it's what we try. We have to be what we tell them in the classroom.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have to practice what we preach.
Right. Definitely. All right, bro. See you later.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.